Consistent with Section 747A of the Local Government Act 1993 and current public health order, this meeting of Liverpool Plain Shire Council is being live streamed to Council's website. A webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at lpsc.newsouthwales.gov.au so that it is available for viewing to members of the public. I'd now like to ask Councillor Lobbsy to recite the acknowledgement of country and Council prayer.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of country. Today we gather on the land of the Kamilaroi Nation. We therefore need to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who have joined us today. Council prayer. Lord, we ask that you watch over this council, guide us in our deliberations and decisions for the betterment of all the people of our Shire and Australia. Thank you. Amen.
Item 2, apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors. Is there any councillor wishing to submit an apology or application for leave of absence? If not, I'll go on to the confirmation of minutes. Minutes of the council meeting held on 27th of November 2020. The recommendation from council reads, receive and confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the 27th of November 2020 and contained in Annexure A.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Move Councillor Miles. Seconder?
Second.
Councillor Black. Did you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for the motion or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Item 3.2, minutes of the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee held on the 13th of November 2020. The recommendation reads that Council receive the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee held on the 13th of November 2020 and contained in Annexure A. 2, receive and note the revised Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting plan 2020-21 contained in Annexure B. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Lobbsy.
Second.
Seconded Councillor Black. Did you wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 3.3, minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee held on 27th of November 2020. The recommendation reads that Council receive the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee held on the 27th of November 2020 contained in Annexure A. Do I have a mover for that?
Yeah.
Move Councillor Black. Seconded Councillor Cadwell. Did you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 4, disclosures of interest. Does any councillor wish to disclose an interest? If not, I'll go on to item 5 or 5.1, the mayoral activities for November 2020. The recommendation reads that to receive and note the mayoral minute, and I will move the minute. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded Councillor Black. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 6, inward correspondence and petitions. 6.1, correspondence for November 2020. The recommendation reads that council receive and note the correspondence 1 to 5 being item 1, Corindi CWA drought report. Item 2, Christmas card from member for Tamworth, the Honourable Kevin Anderson MP. Item 3, Christmas card from Whitehaven. Item 4, Christmas card from Jamie Chaffey, Mayor of the Gunnedah Shire Council. Item 5, Christmas card from J.R. Richards. I have a mover for that. Move Councillor Black, seconder. Councillor Lotsey. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to say that it's exceedingly pleasing to have this report, the drought report from the CWA, and to thank Ms Colleen Wills for all of the work that she and her associates carry out on behalf of this community. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Black. Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.1, Executive Area Works Report for November 2020. The recommendation reads that Council receive and note the Executive Area Works Report. Will I have a mover?
So moved, Mr Mayor.
With Councillor Miles. Seconded Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Miles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Motion 7.2, investments for November 2020. The recommendation reads that Council receive and note the investments for November 2020. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Cudmore. Seconded Councillor Lotsey. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Cudmore?
No, thank you.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Motion 7.3, presentation of audited financial statements and auditors' report for 2019-20. So I'll just look at that. At this point, I'd like to welcome Chris Harper from the Auditors Department.
Are you there, Chris? Can you see us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Lovely.
Can you hear
We
me?
hear you too, yes.
Excellent. Good afternoon.
Welcome, Chris. You have the floor.
Thank you. So good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, councillors and staff. Thank you for the invitation to present my response to the audit for Liverpool Shire Council. Just by way of introduction, my name is Chris Harper. I'm a director in financial audit at the Audit Office of New South Wales. Just before we get to the report on conduct, just a bit of sort of background on the sector-wide narrative. So this year, obviously, we've been living in unprecedented times with COVID-19. As you know, delivery of essential services has been maintained during 2020 through the hard work of council and council staff. Given these unprecedented times, LG extended the statutory date for financial statements to be audited by 1 month, being the end of November 2020. I'm pleased to say that council met this timetable. In delivering the mandate for local government, the audit officer's role is to provide independent assurance on the financial statements and supporting schedules, prepared by management and endorsed by council. We report our findings to management, council, and then eventually Parliament. In our 2020 local government report to Parliament, we're going to continue to focus on reports on results from the 1920 financial audits. The report is expected to be tabled at the end of February next year. Just briefly, some of the key areas we were focusing on in the 1920 audits included the impacts of COVID-19, not only looking at the financial impacts, but also impacts to controls and governance as well. Natural disasters, so looking at whether councils were impacted by natural disasters, did they receive additional funding, and did they have the required insurance? Mechanical landfills, so looking at the provisions required to remediate those sites. And then finally, as always, we looked at the information technology general controls. So this is all the governance over IT, access controls, program changes, and also disaster recovery. So now we're turning to the report on the conduct of the audit for council. The business papers include the audited 30 June 2020 financial statements. And for your reference, the report on the conduct of the audit is included on page 119. Just as I completed our audit of the council's general and special purpose financial statements and relevant special schedules. I'm pleased to report that on 30th of November 2020, we issued a clean audit opinion on your council's financial statements for the year ending 30 June 2020. This means that the financial statements contain no material statements and present fairly. The Office of Local Government Code sets out what needs to be covered in our report on the conduct of the audit. There's 6 key performance measures, which are included in note 27A, which is on page 114 of today's papers. So council has met the LG industry benchmarks for 4 out of the 6 performance measures in 2020, as presented in their financial statements. The results are included in our report on conduct. So I'll just briefly take you through some of those key measures now. So firstly, looking at the income statement. The council's operating result from continuing operations was a deficit of 6.4 million, including depreciation and expense of 13.4 million. This was 4.3 million lower than the prior year. This was mainly due to increases of around 3.2 million in depreciation as a result of the change in the treatment of depreciation for road assets, and just under 750,000 increase in employee benefits and on costs. The net operating result before capital grants and contributions is a deficit of 8.5 million, again 3.1 million lower than the prior year, due to the reasons I just outlined. Rates and annual charges revenue of 12 million increased by 0.3 million, or 2.6%, in 1920, due to the normal rate pick allowances increases in the year. So now just turning to the financial performance measures I mentioned before. Council delivered an operating performance ratio of negative 35.28%, which is below the industry benchmark of 0%. And this ratio declined due to the increases in both depreciation and employee benefits I mentioned before. Turning to the overall operating revenue ratio, so this really measures the degree to which council relies on external funding sources, such as operating grants and contributions. Council's ratio of 62.31% exceeded the LG benchmark of more than 60%, and this ratio has remained relatively stable in recent years. Now turning to cash investments, Council's cash investments position of $34 million at 30 June 2020 increased by just under $6 million from the previous year. The restricted current ratio of 4.25 times exceeded the benchmark of 1.5. So this really means the council can meet their short-term obligations as they fall due. Council's ratio reduced in 1920, largely due to additional cash reserves accumulated in the year. Next ratio ratio of cash expense cover, so council achieved 19.2 months. This really shows the number of months that council can continue paying for its immediate expenses without additional cash inflows. So the 19 months was well in excess of the 3-month industry benchmark. Debt service cover ratio looks at the operating cash available to service the council's debt, and the ratio is just under 9 times, again exceeding the original benchmark, which is greater than 2 times. So after the 6 financial performance ratios is the rates and annual charges and outstanding percentage. So this assesses the impact of uncollected rates and annual charges on council's liquidity and the adequacy of debt recovery efforts. Benchmark OLG for regional and rural councils is less than 10%, and council did not meet this benchmark in 1920, achieving 10.4%. The decline from prior year was really driven by drought and COVID-19 impacting the timeliness of recovery rates. So lastly, just looking at asset renewals very briefly, these were 5.3 million in 1920, showing a reduction of 1 million compared to the prior year. And the renewal expenditure was also lower than the depreciation expense for the year, lower by 1.8 million, 8.1 million. So overall, as I said to you, the council's met 4 of the 6 audited financial performance measures during what has been some really unprecedented times. So I'd like to thank council staff for their cooperation in the conduct of the audit. So that closes my presentation. Thank you, Mayor and councillors. Very happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. There's no questions from the floor, so thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks. Bye.
Item 7.3, presentation of audited financial statements and auditor's report for 2019-2020. The recommendation reads, note that council note the presentation of the audited financial statements of the year ended 30th of June 2020 and the independent auditor's report contained in Annexure A to the public pursuant to section 419-1 of the Local Government Act 1993. Do I have a mover?
Move.
Move Councillor Black. Seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.4, adoption of annual report 2019-2020. The recommendation reads that council adopt the annual report 2019-20 contained in Annexure A pursuant to section 428 of the Local Government Act 1993, and note that the annual report be submitted to the Minister for Local Government and published to the Council's website by the 31st of December 2020, pursuant to section 428-5 of the Local Government Act 1993. Do I have a mover?
Move, Mr. Mayor.
Move Councillor Black. Seconder, Councillor Lobbsy. Did you wish to speak with Councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.5, Code of Conduct Complaints and Statistics Report for 2019-20. The recommendation reads that Council receive and note the report on Code of Conduct Complaints and Statistics for 2019-20 contained in Annexure A. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Lobbsy. Seconded Councillor Black. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lobbsy?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. 7.6, public exhibition of draft long-term financial plan and asset management plans. The recommendation reads that the council place the draft long-term financial plan contained in Annexure A on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. Place the draft asset management plans contained in Annexure B, C and D on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. And receive and further report on the long-term draft financial plan and asset management plans following the conclusion of the public exhibition period. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Mould, second. Councillor Black, did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Mould?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to reiterate what I said this morning in regards to the asset, there's a lot of work gone into the whole document, but in particular the asset management plan. We've been waiting on this for some time, and I just want to acknowledge the amount of work that's gone into this document that's been presented to us, and I know there's further levels to be done, but I just think it needs to be acknowledged that it's been produced in a short period of time, but very expertly done, so I just wanted to acknowledge that through the public forum. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Mould. Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to concur with Councillor Mould's comments, an excellent job. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Black. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.7, adoption of asset management policy. Recommendation reads that council place the draft asset management policy contained in Annexure A on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. Receive a further report following the conclusion of the public exhibition period, or if no submissions are received, adopt the draft asset management policy as exhibited. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Black. Seconded Councillor Mould. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to note the question I asked this morning in regards to the council's being responsible in part for allocating financial resources, that the question was asked and that further reports are coming to council, and the question was asked, it was answered, so just so it's noted. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Mould. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.8, schedule of ordinary meetings for 2021. Recommendation reads that council adopt the draft schedule of ordinary meetings for 2021 contained at Annexure A pursuant to section 365 of the Local Government Act 1993 and clause 3.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. 2, request the General Manager to provide public notice of the time, date and location of each scheduled ordinary meeting to be held in 2021 pursuant to section 9 of the Local Government Act 1993 and clause 3.3 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Lotsey. Seconded Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lotsey?
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.9, adoption of the internal audit charter. Recommendation reads that council adopt the draft internal audit charter contained in Annexure A and repeal the internal audit charter adopted on the 27th of September 2017. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Black. Seconded Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.10, adoption of Agency Information Guide for 2020-21. The recommendation reads that council adopt the draft Agency Information Guide contained at Annexure A pursuant to section 21 of the Government Information and Public Access, 2009. Do I have a mover? Councillor Moles, a seconder. Councillor Black, did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Moles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion?
Just to say, Mr Mayor, that this again is an excellent document for the community to enable them to understand just what the function and services are of their local council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.11, appointment of native title manager. The recommendation reads that Council 1 delegate to Council's coordinator property, lands and insurance, Ms Cynthia Turner, the functions of responsibilities of native title manager pursuant to section 8.6 of the Crown Land Management Act 2016. 2. Revoke all previous delegations under section 8.6 of the Crown Land Management Act 2016. 3. Notify the Minister for Water, Property and Housing, the Honourable Melinda Pavey MP, of the appointment of Ms Turner as Council's native title manager pursuant to section 8.8 of the Crown Land Management Act 2016. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lobsey, seconder. Councillor Black, did you wish to speak to it, Councillor
Thank you,
Lobsey?
Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.12, Engineering Directorate Works Report, November 2020. The recommendation reads that Council receive and note the Engineering Services Works Report, November 2020. Do I have a mover? Councillor Black, seconder. Councillor Moles, did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. An extraordinary amount of work has been undertaken since our last council meeting, and the engineering department and its team need to be congratulated on the amount of works that have indeed been undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a short minor thing on page 577, as this report is on a public exhibition with the correction to the council report for January, being corrected till the first meeting in February, or as the GM decides, it may be the second meeting in February. So, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Moles, that's noted. Item 7.13, water supply status. The recommendation reads that Council receive and note the water supply status report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Moles, seconder. Councillor Cudmore, did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Moles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.14, Nemoy Water Alliance Joint IWCM project funding. The recommendation reads that Council allocate $75,000 funding for the Nemoy Water Alliance Joint IWCM project from existing best practice plans restricted reserve. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Moles, seconded Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Moles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Carried. Item 7.15, tender number RF 017-2020, Centre Street and Callaghan's Lane upgrades. The recommendation reads that Council note and receive this report on tender number RF 017-2020, Centre Street and Callaghan's Lane upgrades. 2, that Council reject all tenders received on the basis that tender prices substantially exceed Council's available budget. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Moles. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think all the discussions we had this morning sufficed. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Black. Did anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just note the two parts of the recommendation, but there's actually nothing in there that says that council's going to continue with this works. So I'm just wondering if that should be added, that council will actually carry out the works. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Not at this stage, councillor Moles, it's about the one tender.
Okay, thank you.
Item 7.16, Environmental and Economic Development Services Works Report. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.16, Environmental and Economic Development Services Works, December 2020. The recommendation reads that council receive and note the Environmental and Economic Development Services Works Report for November 2020. Do I have a mover? Do I have a mover? Councillor Lotsey. Seconder, Councillor Black. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lotsey? Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.17, Natural Disasters Clause - opt-in. Recommendation reads that council agree to include the Natural Disasters Clause in the Liverpool Plains Local Environment Plan 2011 and nominate for the clause to apply to all lands that are zoned RU1, primary production, and 2, notifies the New South Wales Department of Planning, Industry and Environment of council's decision. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cudmore. Seconder?
I think Councillor Black seconded.
Oh, Councillor Black, sorry. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Cudmore? No. Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.18, Recreation Strategy and Implementation. The recommendation reads that council receive and note the Recreation Strategy Implementation Report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lobsey, seconded. Councillor Cudmore. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lobsey?
Just to say, Mr Mayor, that it's great to see the amount of projects that are moving forward and have been completed in our council area.
Thanks, Councillor Lobsey. Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.19, allocation of 2020 round community funding program. The recommendation reads that council receive and note the report. 2, support and endorse the expenditure recommended by the CAG. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Lobsey, seconded Councillor Black. Did you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lobsey? Did anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 8, Delegates Report 8.1, Central Northern